back to the shop. Welcome back to Long Automotive. Today's floor day. We're gonna get floors in the 122 over here. You can see I've set up like a little tent city, blanket fort in there. All I need now is my mama to come down here and bring me a cup of hot chocolate. I don't think that's gonna happen, so we're gonna get after it and try and get these floors in. You can see over here we got our patch panels in, ready to go. These are actually stamped panels from VP Auto Parts, and they should fit pretty well. See their formed sheet. They look to be pretty good quality. And I'm going back and forth about whether or not I raise them up in the car too with the level of the bottom of the rocker panel, which I think I still may do. We'll just kind of see how it works out as we get going here. And if that opportunity presents itself, then I may take it for body dropping this thing in the future. Not that I will. Not that I won't though. I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you. Everything else is pretty much how you saw it last time, aside from the blanket fort. It's nice in here inside the blanket fort. Got a little night light. And what I'm going to do is just cut around the exterior edges of the floor. I'm not going to try and get it perfect on the first cut. Really, I'm just going to get the big holes, the big rusty areas out, and then I'll bring the other one back. I'll bring the new panel back rather and trim it in after we get everything out. I've went ahead and made some small cuts around critical areas, like let's see, like here around the emergency brake. I went ahead and cut here and just kind of did like a little line to tell me where to go along the bottom, so that there's a bracket that holds the emergency brake assembly in, and I didn't want to cut into that, so I went ahead and made those. Now we can get into cutting the edges. I'm just going to use this here line as a reference on where I need to be. Nothing critical. Voila! So here's where we are with this little project. I've been cutting undercoating and stuff out, seam sealer and stuff out of this thing for about an hour and a half, 2 hours now. I think I may cut this seam out of it here. That's the edge of the floor pan. And then this is pitted pretty good through here. So I'm probably gonna take that stuff back to like where the flat edge is. Same on the side. And then do the same over here. It looks okay from the bottom, but when you get up in the top of this panel here, it just doesn't look great. Like that. Not great. So cut it back to the flat. The flat section will be okay. And then I'll split this out and then weld it straight back to there. So now that I have the floors rough cut and close to where they need to be, I need to clean up the seam on the inside of the rocker here. And what I'm going to use today is a punch, hammer, putty knife, and a drill with a spot weld cutter. That'll get almost all of it, and then we'll come back and dress it with the angle grinder just to get the remaining, like the centers out of the spot welds. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'll try and put this together in real time. Something like this, if you have access to it, really doesn't take that long. There's a lot of ways to do this. You could just literally grind it flat or grind the centers out of the spot welds. You could just break them out with an air chisel, but I generally have the most success with the spot weld cutter. You have to take your time. It takes a little bit of technique, and you need a sharp punch is one of the most important parts. So there's your spot welds there, those little circles. We're gonna center punch every one of them all the way down. And you want to make sure you get a good center in there because it provides a start for the spot weld cutter. Here's the spot weld cutter I'm going to use. It's just on a drill. These things, I like to go really slow with them. If you go fast and try to rush, generally they pop teeth off, and when they do that, then they won't hold a center very well, and you're just going to be fighting yourself. So I like to go slow, literally. Something like that on the drill is where I start, not fast. So now you can see what we have left. These are the centers out of the spot welds we cut, and that one I hit with the cold chisel right there. So as you can see, everything is pretty squared off in here, the edges. That side is nice and clean. That edge is nice and straight, and these straight edges really help when I come back in and we try and fit the new panel in there. You don't want a bunch of jagged stuff. A good clean edge is what you're after. So they're plenty straight enough for this. backside as well, and I've already went ahead and done the driver's side here. All right, now this is kind of rough cut in. You can see where we ended up. So all I did was trim those edges out so it would drop in place. Really, this, as far as floors are concerned, this is going to be pretty straightforward, pretty easy. This panel seems to fit super nice. Again, it's from VP Auto Parts out of Sweden. And I'm following this ridge here in the new panel that matches up with the ridge in the other side, and it seems like it's really accurate from where the sump of the floor comes back up in the back. And again, this turns down, so this will be spot welded from underneath. All right, so now everything in here is clean. You remember I already sprayed this copper weld stuff on the inner rocker. I went ahead and cleaned off this edge that's going to mate to it on the floor pan and did the same thing, as well as I went ahead and cleaned up all the edges of this whatever is on this thing. You can't really trust the paint that these panels come in if you want to get a good weld or do any kind of body work. I'm not going to worry about the insides for right now. Let's be honest, this isn't a restoration. So anyways, all the edges are clean. It is final cut, so I can take it. Put it like so. All right, just give you a little view here of the final fitment on this before I start plug welding. Again, really not a welding clamp. None of this is, but pretty good. Pretty tight around all the edges. This back corner here has just a little bit of gap, but I can fill that in. And we will spot it and tack it from the bottom. And then I'll just kind of go alternating side to side, corner to corner, whatever, and get it pretty close. And then I'll move to the top weld up there. We'll go back and forth just to make sure that it doesn't warp or anything and keep it even. All right, several days later, finally I have the rear floors in this thing handled. Apologize in advance, I did not film the drivers, but if you saw the passenger install, it's basically the same. I just had to work around the handbrakes in there, but apart from that, it's just the same. And right now it's covered in Steelite on the top and high build primer on the bottom, because that's what I had. So I'm waiting for that to dry. I went ahead and cut all the weld down and finish ground everything. It's not perfect, it's good enough for me. Not what I'd call a show car by any means, but this isn't a restoration. So anyways, so like I said, not perfect, but good enough for me. I think it's just fine for the quality of this car and the intentions that I have with it. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I hope you found something useful. This stuff is really intimidating to a lot of people that have never done it. Cutting big holes in your car and putting new panels in, but you just got to get started. And like I said before, I'm no means an expert, but hopefully, if anything, this shows you kind of how it goes and things that you need to do to get started and jump into your own floor replacement. If you buy a crappy old car like this, it very well may need floor pans. What are you going to do about it? You can pay somebody to do it, or you can attempt to do it yourself if you have the means. I would encourage you to do the second, and at least give it a shot. Once again, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't clicked that like button for me, click that subscribe button. Go ahead and do it. You'll see much more of this car to come in the future, and we'll see you in the next one.